Good morning, Tuesday, April 9th. Good morning, High at 9 News viewers. Thank you, Jason and Saman, for not 86ing me off the show just yet. My article today is just a little bit on, just a little bit on the science side, and I wanted to read something from neurosciencenews.com, published this morning, hot off the press. Article is Cannabis Use Linked to Lower Dementia Risk. Recreational cannabis may be associated with a significant decrease in the odds of experiencing subjective cognitive decline, or SCD, in adults over 45. Analyzing data from the CDC's 2021 Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System, researchers found that recreational cannabis users had 96% lower odds of reporting SCD compared to non-users. This intriguing finding suggests potential protective effects of cannabis on cognition, although the study's authors emphasize the needs for longitudinal research to understand the long-term impacts. Despite its limitations, the study contributes to the evolving conversation around cannabis use and cognitive health, highlighting the importance of differentiating between medical and recreational use and research. Key facts. Recreational cannabis use was associated with a significant lower risk of subjective cognitive decline in adults over 45. Didn't I just say that? Number two, the study is unique in its examination of cannabis users' type, frequency, method, focusing on an older population. And number three, there is no significant difference in the odds of SCD related to cannabis consumption frequency and method, suggesting the potential role of THC content and the protective effects against cognitive decline. The source was the Bentham Science Publishers. The study, done by Master of Public Health student Zai Chen and Professor Roger Wong, PhD, analyzed a large data set from the CDC and found that compared to non-users, non-medical cannabis use, such as for recreational purposes, was significantly associated with 96% decreased odds of subjective cognitive decline. Medical and dual medical and non-medical uses were also associated with decreased odds of SCD, although not significant. Cannabis consumption frequency and method were also not significantly associated with SCD. SCD is an important outcome of interest as prior research shows individuals with SCD have a 2 times higher risk of dementia, which currently has no cure or definitive prevention approach. Wong said that previous studies have found negative association between cannabis use and cognition decline, so the results were surprising, though he is quick to point out the study had several limitations and that these results are just a snapshot in 1 year. The main takeaway is that cannabis might be protective for our cognition, but it is really crucial to have longitudinal studies because this is just a snapshot of 2021, said Wong, assistant professor at the Department of Public Health and Preventative Medicine. We do not know if non-medical cannabis leads to better cognition or the other way around, if those with better cognition are more likely to use non-medical cannabis. We need longitudinal studies to see long-term if non-medical cannabis use is protecting our cognition over time. That's something we don't know yet, but the research is hindered since cannabis remains illegal federally. Data for this study was obtained from 4,744 U.S. adults age 45 and older in 2021. The Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System, or BRFSS. SCD was a self-reported increase in confusion or memory loss in the past year. Odds of SCD by cannabis use, reason, frequency, and method were examined after inputting missing data, applying sample weights, and adjusting for socio-demographic, health, and substance use factors. The study differs from previous research in that it focused on middle-aged and older adults, and it uniquely considers the 3 factors of cannabis use: type of use, medical or non-medical, frequency of use, and mode of use: smoking, vaping, eating, or dabbing. The reason I think this study is so great is we looked at all the different dimensions of cannabis use, he said. The fact that we included all 3 is a huge contribution to the research because I do not believe such a study has been done before. Wong said he was surprised that mode and frequency had no bearing on SCD since other studies involving younger participants found a negative connection between brain health and cannabis use, indicating perhaps that the age of the participants plays a role in the different results. The study was published in the current Alzheimer's research. It was Chen's final project in the Advanced Biostatistics course in the Masters of Public Health program taught by Wong. I applied the knowledge and analytical skills learned from the courses in the public health methods concentrations in this study, Chen said. So the study goes on, and I don't need to cover the last 4 paragraphs. I have brought articles to this show in the last 60 days that also touched upon this idea that were previous studies. But what I think is really exciting about this one is that they're starting to pay attention not only to frequency and volume or amount of consumption, but also to delivery method. And so that was a variable that I don't think previous studies had factored in. And so I'd love to hear what the rest of the guests think about this article today here on High at 9 News.
Man,
I think this is
ironic.
It's great
news. It's very ironic.
Well,
I think it's good news. I wish we had our doctors on to talk deeper about this today.
Well, your memory
kind of
this makes a lot of sense, Rico, because your memory is in the fat cells of your brain. Right, that's where all your memories are, and so since cannabis bonds,
but where's the cutoff with your short-term memory?
That's what I'm saying. I think that's just a stigma part of reefer madness that people have been perpetuated to believe.
No, there's times I can't find my keys.
Yeah. That's not the point. That's not the point. So one thing that people have to understand with memory is just because you forget something doesn't mean that you can't. It's gone. You've lost that memory, which is more kind of like what dementia is like. You don't have a way to recover that memory, and so
I think that's a good question to ask, Jason.
I don't know if that's necessarily all actually
what is
true.
memory? Do we understand what memory actually?
I mean, I do, because I know some people that have had serious traumatic head injuries and whatnot, and like I went through a whole thing of understanding how memory works. And so basically, if you envision it like this, is like your memory is a filing cabinet, and it knows where every single file is, and whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. And then when you can't find something, it's because you can't remember where you placed it. It's not necessarily that you have forgotten it.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a part of your brain that is affected by cannabis, and that part of your brain is where your memory is housed, your prefrontal cortex. That this is like a lot of.
That's why I said it actually cushions the whole memory, your memory, your fat cells.
Yeah, I mean, like whether it's one fat cell or another fat cell in your body that's full of fat cells. I don't know, Jason. I'm not a neurologist.
Jason doesn't have any more.
I've talked to many neurologists about this, so this is why I'm so knowledgeable on this.
Is that why you're such a smart guy?
That's it,
man.
Jason has killed off all the fat cells in his body, and he's gearing up for that.
Yeah, I'm just
calendar
where there's only fat cells in my head. That's it.
The Fireman calendar coming out.
I mean, I think there's an argument that cannabis use can affect certain cognitive functions. I don't think anybody said they became a better mathematician by dabbing. I think there's definitely different impacts for different age groups, but it reminds me of the studies of coffee, because every 3 to 5 years a study comes out of some Ivy League college, and first coffee's bad for you and it's leaching the caffeine out of your bones, and then coffee's good for you because it's rich in complex antioxidants, and there seems to be this pendulum swing. The difference is we can study coffee at a federal level, and I'm still drinking it today. And so I think that every study that we see, whether it's in one direction or the other, whether it's saying that there might be some benefits or there might seem some risks, every single study that we cover closes with the exact same talking point, which is that they are hampered by the lack of federal legality and that more research is needed. And so that's the place. I'm not here to opine on science that I'm not qualified to understand. I just know that until we have the ability to study and research cannabis in this country in the way that we study and research any other nutraceutical, we're going to have this limited information and this gap in understanding the components, the qualities, the benefits, and the risks of this amazing plant.
Yeah, I mean, there's been
cannabis is amazing.
Other
never ceases to amaze us.
Yeah, there's been other scientific papers written and analyzed, and it wasn't looking very good for cannabis, a long-term effect, cerebrally. So I'm glad to hear this new study. This is cool. This is promising, and hopefully there's more. But the stuff that's out there that's published, you can look it up. It's obviously we know science is biased as well as everyone's opinion too. They'll just hire the guy that'll write the scientific paper in support of their thesis. But, you know, when it comes to reality, it's like everything, you know, in moderation is probably just the best route. So just remember that, people.
And
Macrodose.
yeah, and
Except for coffee.
and on that, we're gonna go to a commercial. We're gonna be right back.